What's up, everybody? I'm going to share with you a video on pretty much my workflow. And I'm also wearing these sweet-ass glasses. They aren't the blue blockers. These are actually real sunglasses that I got from a company called Nectar. I actually met the founder over the weekend at an event that I was at. They're cool. They work. But I'm going to give a couple people a chance to join in. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to share my workflow process of how I brainstorm marketing ideas and what we're going to implement, and then how I pass them off to my team. So I actually have to erase my whiteboard, and I figured, why don't I shoot a short video before I erase the entire process, and I decided to share it with you guys. So if you're just joining, give me a like or tag someone below who you think this video would benefit. So I'm going to give people a little bit to come in. The reason why I wanted to share this, or actually the reason why I wanted to erase my whiteboard, is because I actually learned so much from this past weekend. Catherine and I were actually at a mastermind called Baby Bathwater, and it's probably my favorite event that I go to every year. What is Baby Bathwater? Baby Bathwater is a community of rock star entrepreneurs that everyone has to get vetted who comes in. You can't just buy a ticket and go. You need to do an interview process and get invited out there. And just because you're invited out there, there's not a guarantee that you're allowed to come back. You're still under watch. Fortunately enough, Catherine and I, this was our second time there, so we were able to come back, and it was more fun this time, without worrying, am I going to be invited back? But I learned so much over the weekend that I need to use my whiteboard and just fill up the entire thing based on what's in my brain. So before I do that, I wanted to share my workflow with you. And this process is actually a webinar process. So I started with the end in mind, and the end in mind here is to sell our $397 or $400 course. So I wanted to, how can we go about selling this course, or build a funnel to get people into, nurtured, and then understand that they need this course to improve their life. The best way that we decided was a webinar funnel. And this is how the funnel is set up. So we have the Self Mastery Academy for Best Self at the end, and then we work our way backwards all the way to the front or the top of the funnel. So we have the Self Mastery Academy being hosted on a Facebook Live. We're actually going to host the webinar on a Facebook Live. So then we need to go back even further. So we need text and a drip campaign and retargeting to get people onto that webinar. Then we need to have a webinar page for people to register, and then ads. So moving forward, that's it, working backwards. Yes, Catherine, I'm giving away all of our secrets. No, I'm just giving the workflow process of what we have planned, and then hopefully I can give positive results once we implement this. That's the plan. So we're going to have ads targeting a webinar, and or targeting customers to join a webinar. So the webinar registration page will be what we are pushing people to from the ads. After they register, they're going to get a text message. They're going to, thank you, they're going to get a drip campaign via email, and they're also going to be retargeted to remind them to join the webinar that's going to be live. So then we're going to do the Facebook Live webinar, and down here it says multi-screen or screen share. I'm not sure how to share a computer screen on Facebook Live, so that's one thing that we need to figure out. So I just put it in there. And then after the webinar, we're going to direct them to a Self-Mastery Academy sales page, which in turn, if they land on that page, they're going to be retargeted. So that is the plan in a nutshell. And the breakdown here, the breakdown from this funnel that I have is here's all the assets that we need. So the breakdown would be we need a webinar script, we need webinar slides, we need the tech. So how do I share my screen and the slides via Facebook Live? Not sure, so we need to figure that out. Then we need text message marketing. So I don't have a program for that, and I don't know of a program, so a program's the first piece of the puzzle. After we find the program, then we'll put in a reminder copy sequence. There will be a drip campaign with a 5 email countdown just saying, hey, the webinar's coming, you got an hour for the webinar's going live. That's what the drip campaign is going to be. Retargeting. We're actually going to retarget people leading up to the webinar. Hey, there's a webinar coming tomorrow. Don't forget, see Catherine and Alan there to learn about X, Y, and Z. And then, hey, today's the day for the webinar. It's just to remind people that they have something coming up. So then there's the webinar registration page, and then the ad sets for all of those. So we need 3 sets of copy and 3 sets of creative. So that's how I process everything on my whiteboard. But that's just the beginning. What I do then, so that's great. If you're a one-man show, you can operate off of this all you want. I actually like to get a little bit more granular because I also have a team that will be doing some of this. I will be doing some of this, and we need to collaborate and get on the same page about who's doing what's done, what's still needed, and a timeline. So that's where I come into Trello. So Trello is awesome, and let me expand this and I'll show you this. So here's Trello, and if we scroll up, you can see Self-Mastery Academy webinar funnel. And in here, I'll break down all the assets. So we have a webinar. So what's needed for the webinar? We need the slides, we need the script. So what Catherine and I are going to say on that webinar. We need the webinar copy. We need the call to action. So we need what link are we going to send them to at the end. And then we also need to know the tech. How are we going to share this webinar screen via Facebook Live? Because we're not hosting it on Webinar Jam or EverWebinar or anything like that. Then we also need the webinar registration page, creative, and the webinar registration page copy. So we can actually, once we push those cold leads to the webinar registration page, they don't just jump off, that they can actually convert into a lead, and then we can do something with them and hopefully get them on the webinar. Keep going down. Now we have a whole nother segment of Facebook ads. So when going back up to the webinar, we'll go, all right, the webinar script's done, boom. And now this portion of the project is 14% done. And as we keep continuing down this cycle, we'll know the tech, we'll know how it works, we'll have the call to action and the link, the registration page is done, boom, the webinar is done. Okay, so now we have our asset in place. Now we need to figure out the Facebook ads. So breaking down the Facebook ads based on what segment or what phase in the timeline they are, or where they are through that process. Is it cold traffic? Is it retargeting for the upcoming webinar? These two creatives and ad copy is going to be completely different. So this informs somebody who's never heard about the webinar, where the retargeting for the upcoming webinar is completely different and is just to remind people to stay tuned for what's coming. And then the retargeting after the webinar is completely different as well. So we need the creative and the copy for all of these, and you'll put those out and just really get detailed in what is needed. So when your team is in place, they know what's done and what still needs to be worked on. And what you can do is you can assign these to people and give them a due date. So going up here, I'm not going to go through the rest of it because it's the same exact thing except different sequences. So going up here, you just click members and add people. I've already added my team in here who needs to be aware of what's going on for this process. And what I will do is add a due date. And then we will schedule a due date for when we want this finished by. So when the time gets closer, they understand, oh man, well, I really need to focus on the webinar script, or, oh, I don't have those creatives for the retargeting done yet, and we're about to go live. I need to figure out, or I just need to stop what I'm doing and make sure I get it done because there's a due date in place. And then if there's any questions that come up, we communicate via Slack or we drop messages or comments inside Trello. And it's really cool. This is the way that our team runs and our team operates. And hopefully you find some benefit out of this. So enjoy you guys sticking around and watching. If you're watching this after the fact, not many people jumped on live, only a couple. Steve, I see, jumped on here. Thanks for joining, man. Hank, thank you. Dave, thank you. Josh, thanks for joining. Sam, Catherine, obviously I chatted with you. Eric, James, and Scott, thanks, man. Thanks, guys, for joining. If you're joining this after the fact or watching this after the fact, drop some messages. I'll be sure to respond once I see some comments jump in or jump on this. And yeah, let me know if this was beneficial, and let me know if you're going to utilize something in this something like this moving forward. Take care.